alert, today's ride ends a little bit prematurely for me. Today's ride we're heading on down to the Huon Valley, which is on the southern part of Hobart. With the aim was to go down, do a bit of a stuff on the Huon Valley River, on the Huon River at Huonville, and then head from there down to the caves at Hastings. And have a bit of a look at there, but things didn't go so well for me, and I'll show you that as we get along. But this is the straightest bit of road that we're on the whole way down. In Tassie, this is the first time we've had real straight roads for a while, so we were making the most of it, and the scenery was just absolutely brilliant for the day. It was something special. Today's ride is partly mine, but some of the footage also has come from one of the other guys who took some stuff on their phone. We'll get to some of that as we roll along. The first part of the ride was fairly uphill, just basically to get ourselves out of Hobart, and as we get out of Hobart, we headed over the top of the hill and headed down into the Huon Valley itself. And the Huon Valley, very famous for its apples. Apple orchards down this way. It's also very famous for its fishing as well, particularly its salmon farms. But the first part of the valley and the top end of the valley is all apple orchards, as you can see to the right. Big apple shed there, more apples on the right, and on the left as we go along. So yeah, apple orchards everywhere as you head down through the Huon Valley. As we get down to the Huon Valley, we head off into the Huon River, and this is where I discovered that things are not great, as does Bernie and Peter. They were booked on a jet boat, but unfortunately the jet boat messed up their booking. Wasn't the only time this happened on the trip with bookings, but Pete and Bernie were wonderful about it. Everyone's turning up there. Beautiful day, lovely smooth water, everything looks beautiful and good to go, until Peter and Bernie wandered in and found out that their booking had been messed up. Pete was looking a bit like Gumby, was what Bernie said about him. But as you can see, the river's beautiful. That's the guys waiting to sort out what was going on with their booking. This is when I discovered I had a big slash in my belt. You can see there with the blue circle. Getting a bit closer there. It's about an inch and a bit long. But yes, I marked it with some silver Sharpie and was monitoring that for the rest of the trip. But I thought this is where my trip was about to end, but we decided we'd just monitor it. As you can see there, the Australian part number is different to the rest of the world, so it's very difficult to get these things, hence why I thought the trip was over. But anyway, we headed a little bit further south. For me, I headed down to the Dover Sea Festival, and it was full of wonderful things such as food and all sorts of produce, as well as craft arts, bands playing, etc. But to get there, we had to head down through the Huon itself, along the Franklin, the Huon River at Franklin, not the Franklin River, and the Franklin itself is a beautiful little town. along, we get down a bit closer into Franklin itself, and you can take views of the river at Franklin. You can see that the river itself goes up there. A number of boat trips that go up along the Franklin, or should I say at Franklin, not Franklin. It's the Huon River at Franklin. Very beautiful little place, lots of bed and breakfasts. Got in behind this tractor and I sat behind him for a fair while. Wasn't in any much of a hurry, but yeah, just took in the river itself. It was yeah, very, very picturesque little area at Franklin. Bernie and Peter managed to get some footage from around this area as well. After we'd gone through, they'd gone down ahead of me. I just took my time getting down so I could keep an eye on the belt, so they were all heading down a little bit quicker than what I was. I was just taking my time. I said, look, I'd stay on the main road so that they could keep an eye on where I was. So it's a bit of footage from Bernie with her phone as they head along at Franklin and along the Huon River. So yeah, they were hurtling down. They were heading down towards Hastings and Hastings Caves, and they'd eventually get down to that area. Eventually I decided to pull over for a little while, and I pulled over at this little roadside place on the Huon River, and decided to have a coffee. Wasn't the greatest coffee, but the cheesecake was sensational at this little shop here. I wish I could remember the name of it. But yeah, it's right on the edge of I think it was the Huon Trading Post or something like that. The cheesecake was amazing. The coffee was a bit ordinary. The cheesecake was sensational. I took off from here and headed my way down to Dover. And between here and Dover is where a lot of the fishing places are, with Tassal, Huon Aquaculture and a few others there that operate the big places where you get most of your salmon from, both here in Australia and overseas. So if you see Tasmanian salmon, it's probably come from this area down here in the Huon area. So yeah, beautiful little area. Eventually, I worked my way down to Dover itself and down to the SeaFest, and took in Dover itself, which is a beautiful area. It's a very small community, but a very tight community, and it thrives on a bit of agriculture as well as the aquaculture. So a bit of beef and also the salmon that's there. So eventually I got down to the festival and made my way through Dover itself. Once down in Dover, I was relying on my GPS to find where I had to go. And luckily it pointed me in the right direction. Got myself down there, managed to get a car park pretty close, which was really awesome because it was a pretty rough terrain getting around the place. There was no paths or anything. It was all gravel and that type of thing. So it was good to get somewhere close. So whilst I was there, I took in a bit of the local produce, sampled a lot of things, including some coffee that I bought some salmon, and I also bought some franks, which I took in later in the day after a pretty stressful type of day. Yeah, there was fresh oysters. There's all sorts of stuff down there, fresh produce you could take in, and of course had to have the salmon sample, which was absolutely brilliant. The rest of the crew, they made their way down to Hastings, to Hastings Caves. It's a beautiful bit of road. I'm really disappointed to get to ride that because it was nice and twisty, and with plenty of scenery as well, because you're heading right down to the bottom of Tasmania into that area. So the caves themselves that they were heading off to, Hastings Caves, are fairly unique. They're not a limestone cave, but they're actually a dolomite cave. So some of the biggest dolomite caves in the world. So really disappointed I didn't get to go and have a look at that one. So the caves just aren't caves, there's also some really nice bushwalk up to it, and rainforest area is just absolutely outstanding in that area, and you don't even know that you're at the caves until you get to them. And the caves themselves are a very unique situation where they're a 9 degrees C all year round. Doesn't matter whether it's -2 and snowing outside, or whether it's absolutely amazing and you've got 40 degrees outside, it's still 9 degrees inside those caves. They're absolutely brilliant and really should see them. So that's Hastings Caves.
Unreal. Yeah. Unreal. Okay.
footage from Bernie and Peter from inside the caves, so gives you a bit of an idea of just how big they are. It's not like you're getting down there and it's really skinny. There's massive stairways down into them. They'll be pretty good condition to get yourself down there, but they are absolutely huge and definitely worth the effort to get down the steps if you can. Really highly recommend those Hastings Caves. Once the guys finished there, they went, oh, what are we going to do now for the rest of the day? Once they got outside, they realised it was really good weather, so they headed off to climb Mt Wellington, because they didn't do it yesterday because it was too windy, because once we got up there and told them, they realised, no, I won't go up there, so they went up to Mt Wellington and finished off their trip. So I was really glad they got to do that. That was a wonderful thing for those guys. So yeah, they took some great shots. So thanks guys, and hope you really enjoyed your trip up to Mt Wellington. Looked like a brilliant afternoon for it.
There's Hobart down there. Wow. Hello, love. We made it. Yep. Alrighty.
We wouldn't be able to get up here in winter.
Frank's summer cider, good stuff.